What's going on? My voice is dying from doing readings. Got through a lot this weekend, so the allergies. But yeah, so let's do this. I do them kind of in strange order. Um, I used to do them all chronological, but now, like if I've done a good amount, I like to, I don't know, I just like have my list and um, I like to just kind of go like that. Let's see here. All right. So, not a heavily aspected chart, but we do have a moon opposite Pluto situation. The moon, 28 Aries, opposite Pluto in the 12th house, which is such an interesting placement. I was talking the other day about a 12th house Pluto, and of course, in Placidus, your chart's completely different. I use whole sign, so um, everything kind of shifts. But hold up, I need to check the Squarespace. Okay, so you only had like the free readings. Crazy thing going on. Well, this isn't this is a natal reading, but sometimes I do say those things, and people are like, well, actually, very often I'll say things where like today, I had a client, and I usually don't do them on Sundays, but it was like kind of a one-time thing. She could only do it today. And she said something about a like something I said in the reading, right? Because we were having the follow-up in current astrology. And she said, what was it? It was that I in the reading was talking about her mother having had like a stressful birth, right? Which is such like a random thing you would think, potentially stressful birth, potentially not wanting to reincarnate. And she had been, so there's this guy, Dr. Weiss. If you haven't read his book, Many Lives, Many Masters, it changed my life. It was the first time I really learned about past lives from a more, I guess you could say, scientific perspective. She went to one of his conferences and they did like a guided like past life regression. And yes, FedEx. And basically she visualized like this whole birth trauma, this was like before she got the reading with me. I thought that was pretty crazy. So yeah, we'll see what we see. But yeah, just so you know, um, I kind of like to give both perspectives of the Placidus, especially with a 29-degree rising like you have. Oh my God, you have black and Lilith rising. Damn, you got them witch vibes. But because when you have 29-degree rising, I have 28-degree Leo. Um, in Placidus, which is like I'm sure the charts you've seen online and stuff, everything is gonna be one house down, right? Um, because in whole sign, first house is everything. Your rising is 29 degrees Scorpio. So you see here, everything Scorpio would fall in the first house. But I still like to look at it a little bit differently. I still do, for example, like your Venus, like that's like a 12th house Venus to me. But like the Pluto, 12th house Pluto people, like they have like crazy dreams a lot of times. Like they really like go really, really deep into the esoteric and they can be very interested in all things mystical and a big part of the life purpose for that placement is to take this like deep dive from the material world, which is symbolized by Saturn, into the it's a metaphoric endless sea of Neptune. And I just love that metaphor. So there's a lot of letting go, right? But yeah, like I guess just kind of starting from the start, you've got Uranus rising, you've got Black Moon Lilith rising all in Scorpio, 29-degree rising. So that's like a very powerful personality. Um, Potentially intimidating to some. This is my vice. It's like this watermelon. I don't drink them all the time, but it's like this watermelon Red Bull. It tastes so good. But anyways, yeah. So with that that rising, like damn, um, it's a mix of putting out this very witchy, transformative energy, right? Um, like there's kind of a don't fuck with me vibe. Like it's not mean, but people get it. Um, when you add Uranus to the mix on a rising, it gives kind of a shock value to an individual. Perhaps they dress in a way, right? That obviously Scorpio is not. It's more of like it steals the show. Scorpio rising steals the show just by their presence and their energy. But the Uranus can kind of add, yeah, a little bit of it can make someone quite rebellious. And I keep saying that because my cat, dog, whatever he is making me play fetch, making me throw the ball down the stairs, and he brings it up, and he doesn't want to bring it to my lap like a good dog. Um, but yeah, it's like a very interesting. I haven't seen all this because a 29-degree um ascendant, it's like very masterful. It's like this lifetime on a karmic level is very much there's kind of like this theme of like ending, right? There's this theme of like you're at the last boss of the video game. And yeah, I observe, your moon is at 28 degrees. That's like a beautiful degree. That's where my sun and Mercury are. It's a great degree. Um, 29 can be a little bit heavy. There's no such thing as good or bad in astrology also. And you have 23 Virgo, which is it's quite close to the nebula. Let's see. Is that around, yeah, it's right with Sirius, which is interesting. And yeah, it's there with the nebula. Is that, what's it called? Yeah, and Zosma. Okay, interesting. So you have like a lot of these stars that are very much linked to like truth seeking, like the esoteric, things like astrology, magic, all that. And then you have Black Moon Lilith on the ascendant. I'm gonna disappear from camera for a second. Oops, I just did. What did I just do? What just happened? What just happened? What just happened? What just happened? Confused. Hold on one sec. Sorry. So I like to go in meditation mode sometimes. So, yeah, so there's lots of like kind of truth seeking Zosma and Denebula, midheaven Zosma, Denebula, like close to the sun, Ceres on the sun. So you're such a nurturer. Ceres is the asteroid that's linked to nurturing. Um, so to have the exact same degree as your Virgo sun, which Virgo is already, about being of service. It's a very giving sign, very loyal, all these great things. I love my Virgos. My mom's a Virgo. Um, but like sometimes Virgo gets a reputation of being a little bit, I don't know, OCD and too in the material, but like the Virgo you have is very spiritual. And some very, very spiritual people are Virgos. Um, so it's just important to know that, you have different stars in Virgo that are activated by close conjunction that, would usually make someone that mystical type of, and when I say like with magic, like, because in astrology we talk about opposite signs, right? It's the same energy but opposite manifestation. So Pisces and Virgo are opposite signs. Pisces, obviously, is like this very magical energy, very spiritual people. Virgo is earth magic. So, perhaps that's something that you might resonate with, like ceremonies, if it's something like shamanism, um, anything working with the herbs, the earth, these things could be very prominent. And yeah, but I still can't get over this Uranus Black Lilith ascendant. It's like so crazy. But what else can I say? Yeah, I guess Lilith does not like accept the rules of society, and neither does Uranus. Um, so it can make like an identity like very much related to rebellion, right? Um, like someone who like wants to create their own rules or questions everything, right? And that's like what those Virgo planets do also, is really about questioning everything. Um, and it's also about uncovering things that people might not want to talk about, the taboo. And I think that there's a certain like dark energy that can kind of repel some people, but some people can be very drawn to it, right? Like, but like the one thing for sure is this, like I guarantee you have this like core authenticity to you. Um, with Uranus and Lilith, like with Lilith, it's just you know, it's very, very raw. And I think that, it's associated with the shadow self. And perhaps like, okay, this is deep. Perhaps like with the people that you might repel, it has more to do with things they haven't worked on in themselves, which is why you could be such a good spiritual healer. Because like just being around you, like can kind of can teach someone like a lot about where they're at, and maybe things that they don't necessarily want to, places they don't necessarily want to go. But it's important, to not allow that to affect you, right? Like other people's projections. Um, Also just knowing that Scorpio risings are old souls, and they go deep. They want to penetrate. They want to evolve. Um, So it's not everyone that wants to be like that. A lot of people are happy with just being whatever, staying the same, blah, 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 blah. So, that's one thing that like a lot of Scorpio risings, they're like, I'm here to like really, I'm here to push myself to the limit. I'm here to kind of, really have a positive impact on the world. And that's kind of like, yeah, I know it sounds crazy, but that alone, like wanting more for yourself, wanting more for humanity, like that can trigger people. And Scorpio on its own, like because of like that magnetism, it can just create enemies from jealousy. Um, so yeah, there's usually lots of, so this goes with your moon opposite Pluto. Um, that is a Hades moon. So usually there is, some difficulty in the childhood with a black widow too, like something that you really had to face when you were young. And there can be this theme of crises. And as an Aries moon, you know, Aries moon's very emotionally real and raw. And, you're never going to get an Aries moon to hold back. Like they're going to say what the fuck they're going to say, which is why it's interesting. Because if we think about, the combination of Aries and Virgo, right? And it's 28. So they're 5 signs away. Felix, bring me the ball right here if you want me to throw it. Felix, stop being like this. So when the sun and moon are 5 signs away, the quincunx, and these energies don't know, like they're so foreign, right? Virgo is about stability and um, you know, Virgo not big on change. But then Aries is just like, dude, go, 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 action, action, independence, independence. So you have this like emotional need for independence. Um, but then another part of you. So it's like I made a video the other day about like doing parts work with your astrology, like understanding your astrology, because it's a lot more complex than just the sun, the moon, all that. You'll see, like I'm gonna get into the aspects and all that, but trying to use mindfulness to see, because like the Virgo side, Virgo can be like very perfectionist, right? It can be very self-critical, and then also critical on other people if it doesn't like heal that perfectionist wound, which a lot of times can come from it could be like a dad where nothing was ever good enough. Um, it's not like a science in terms of where it comes from. It's not always like I've noticed that like it's not like I can just say like, oh, the moon is the mom, sun is the dad. Like some people swear by that, but I haven't seen that to be true. Um, but yeah, like there's definitely this energy in the chart of challenges, of crises probably early on that were really tough. And I think like, I always call it feeding both mouths, right? Um, And with like the Virgo, so it's like Virgo, like I said, it's more controlled, right? Um, so how can you still, I guess we can call it, have this sort of organization in your life while also giving yourself the action independence that your moon sign requires. An Aries moon can't really be held down in the sense like it doesn't like to be limited. So like this is like an example, right? So the Aries moon might be impulsive emotionally, right? It might want to do this, do that, do this, do that. And then the Virgo side could become anxious if it overthinks. Because there's a part of you, a core part of you that just wants to do based off passion. And it's so great about Aries moon. They just have to learn, Aries moons just need to learn about anger because sometimes they can let their anger get the best of them. But then Virgo is very, very good, the energy, right, at being controlled and all that, tempered. So it's almost like, how do you get both to work together? Well, yeah, I think it's feeding the Aries that need for independence, that need for freedom for doing, but also understanding that, and like kind of balancing the two out, right? The Virgo can be very grounding to someone with an Aries moon. If you were double Aries, you'd just be all over the place, doing this and that, this, that, like a hungry ghost. Virgo is very much about meaning. So it's kind of cool. I don't think I've seen a Virgo moon, a Virgo sun, Aries moon. I can't think of one. My mom is a Virgo sun, Leo moon. So, it's a mutable sign, Virgo. That's why it's so misunderstood. So yeah, they're very different Virgos. Like they're all over the map. Kind of like Pisces, right? But yeah, I could see that being a little bit hard to manage. And then, you throw in that Lilith Uranus energy. A lot around self-worth, or sense of self-worth. Um and around autonomy as well. That's another theme. And a lot of people with Lilith on the ascendant, like I said, they can kind of bring a lot of projection, so there can be like shame early on. Um, so yeah, it's interesting for sure. And like there's like a karmic reason here, and usually like with the moon and Pluto, like Hades moon, even oppositions Hades moon. Look, like I had the client earlier who had it, and it's like not like I've heard this so many times. Like the mom had borderline personality disorder, like, mom had all these issues, or just like there's something that's been passed on down the bloodline, and they're the ones who are here to break this curse, right? Not an easy task. And, from my follow-ups, you know, you got the reading and follow-up. Most people, they will add the current astrology. I don't know. I can't remember. I have like even thinking about messages right now, it makes me stressed. Like I haven't even like looked at my Instagram and don't know. I mean, I put my story, but yeah, like it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy because I talk about these things and then I hear the experiences and I'm just like, yo, like what? FedEx, stop drinking the human water. Stop, FedEx. You're being such a pain in the butt. FedEx, be good like you are. Cats. Um, but yeah, the Hades moon, it's like I definitely think that you're a soldier, like you're someone who had to like really, deal with some shit early on. But yeah, what I was saying, what was I saying? Like, yes, yeah, so like I see it all the time, like in different ways, but someone who had to kind of like get past a lot of BS early on. But like the fact that you're 29-degree rising, it's like you're a fucking master, Like maybe you've had a hard life, most likely, right? Didn't have it easy. Lots of hardship, maybe even lack of like feeling secure in your own household potentially, um, which can lead to a lot of shame. That's the thing, and your sun square Neptune is another thing, those, your two big aspects are sun square Neptune and moon opposite Pluto. So that can make all kinds of identity crises, right? Um, yes, being a Virgo, it's Earth, so it's easier for that person to understand who they are than if they're uh let's call it a Gemini square Neptune. But still, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But that's like, very, very important to note. Because it's like, not even a 2 degree off square, so it's a very tight square. But like a lot more with the Lilith theme, like other things about Lilith, it's like it could also be, yeah, like the whole problematic birth thing, like not, like not being sure that you want to really take on this incarnate the challenge of this incarnation. Like this happens, right? People, souls incarnate, they decide to, and then like at the last second or whatever, time doesn't exist, but you get what I'm saying. Like they have doubts and shit happens energetically. So it's like there can be perinatal trauma, um, all kinds of stuff. The mom could have been very, very stressed or going through some issues at the time of birth. That's Pluto moon, right? There it's emotional crises, and the person, has to learn to ground themselves and integrate, because like with the Aries moon, it can be very like, volcanic, like I said, right? Opposite Pluto, they can get triggered really easily and react very impulsively. So it's really such a chart about self-mastery. I'm gonna grab my crystal. So yeah, it's just that like it really depends, like, where you grew up, like how it was. But yeah, like some people with this, like had like bullying, or like they just were seen as like the outsider because of Uranus too. Can definitely create like an ingenious person. And like that's what's dope about it, is that like it's it can be someone who didn't follow the trends, but now they're looking back on everyone that they grew up with, and they're like, thank God I didn't follow. Thank God I did my own thing. Thank God I thought on my own. So yeah. One of the key themes though in your chart is, like, I can feel this, like being very aware of the darkness, the dark side of reality from a young age. And sometimes it's overlooked, but not everyone has this ability. It's like you put in hard time, and then as an adult, you have this hyper awareness, right? So childhood trauma is very, very possible here. Um, but like I can't say enough how many charts I see that have that, in the resilience that it brings. This isn't measured, you know? And back to your kind of like overall vibe, like I don't think you have a vibe energy that like it stays with people. There's something about you that just isn't like regular. And I mean that in the best way, because fuck being regular. Says Mr. Leo rising with a lot of Aquarius. But like, there's something that keeps people scratching their heads, wanting to know more, which brings up the boundaries issue, not issue, but when you have Sun square Neptune, it's extra important that you have strong boundaries. Um, with the client I spoke to earlier, she had to make boundaries with her own mother, and she had Moon square Pluto, which the amount of my clients that have Moon square, Moon opposite, Moon conjunct Pluto, it's insane, and the mathematical odds are so low, you know. So many. So yeah, like when you're an empath, creating boundaries with your fucking mom or like could be your dad. I don't say who's who, right? A lot of times it is the maternal with the moon, but like it's wild. It's very wild. And yeah, it's just to me, it's just the resilience that gets built. There's a meaning to it, and the life purpose, right? It's very much, I think, you know, you're really here to be of service and to nurt, it's like you're learning to nurture yourself in very practical ways so you can give that to others. And it's not saying you have to be a healer, but if you were and if you are, everything that happened, like you're still very young, obviously. So it's like a lot of times people come into them as a healer. Maybe it's around the Uranus opposition, which I think you're probably close to, right? So, yeah, I'm just gonna say it. There's a certain like I've met girls who have this, and like the Lilith, even just Scorpio rising alone can be quite seductive. Um, yeah, Lilith like rising definitely like I would say, and I have no idea what you look like. I don't know anything. I do these charts kind of randomly, and then I just like I literally imagine I put them all in my log on my software, and like I try to go in some order, but sometimes I just don't want to. I just say fuck it, and I just go through and like, I'm gonna do this one, nah, this one, nah, this one, yeah. Like I just feel it. There's something that's like tells me, oh, I want to do this chart. I want to talk about this. You know, I like these themes that are gonna come up here. So, yabers, yibbers, yibbers, yibbers. Um, yeah. So it's very, like I said, impossible to ignore. And just like yeah, there's strong reactions from people. So that's like why like the Neptune, it's like having a spiritual identity is so important because it can be very easy for someone, you know, who like like to not fall victim to other people's projections of you. And Sun square Neptune, whew, that one, let's get to that in a sec. But let's just say that for what I'm saying now, it definitely can create issues with who am I, taking on other people's energy, needing to create energetic boundaries with certain people in certain places, certain things. And it's often through service that you become clear about who you are, right? Um, so I think definitely like, with Uranus and Lilith, like interesting, but you need a lot of space, a lot of freedom to really like, you know, find who you are, like to be who you are. Like like you need space to think, and it's interesting though, because like if you don't get that, like I feel like things can kind of not fall apart, but you can be quite rebellious and all that. But like a cool thing about it is that, Black Lilith represents our, the darker side of our reality. So to have it rising, it's like you're super aware of that. You're super aware of what low Scorpio energy is, for example, right? Um, low Scorpio it's all about power, and the low Scorpio energy, the like a lot of them go through, like let's say goes through trauma and thinks that power is through dominating others. High Scorpio is about, yes, I've been hurt, or yes, these things have happened, but I'm going to find this power within me. It's the resilience. But yeah, but then your love language, like having Juno and Venus in Scorpio, there's just like so much karma when it comes to and so much fate when it comes to your love life. And a lot of it's interesting because like I'm talking about all this freedom, right? So there is kind of like this soulmate or nothing type energy when it comes to like relationships. But then I just can't see you being the kind of person that doesn't, like, for me, like I sleep in my own bedrooms now, I've been saying it I've been doing it my whole life. And like, now there's studies coming out showing that couples that do that have better outcomes. I'm like, huh, knew it. But like, you know, um, it's like, and I think like also it's interesting. So it could be like this real depth that's needed as a prerequisite, but then within that, there's like a need to not lose yourself. And then of course your North Node's in Cancer. So interesting. My girlfriend has that too. Ah, man. So that's very close to, yeah, okay, so that's gonna be, it's third here. It would be when yeah. So yeah, I mean like the North Node in Cancer and the ninth is interesting because that's like Sag Cancer vibes. But yeah, it's kind of like a big part of your mission to nurture yourself and to get, also very common. uh I wouldn't be surprised if you were the opposite gender in your most recent lifetime, and if maybe there are parts of you that um kind of not correspond, parts of you that kind of um feel like more at ease with the other gender, like not saying anything like that. You get what I'm saying. Um like my girlfriend, she has this, and there's parts of her that are more masculine, but she's still a female. It's just that, and she's an Aries moon like you. Um, so yeah. But what I've noticed about Cancer North nodes is that, they have a passive tendency of being quite masculine, not necessarily, not, figure, not not literally, but they're trying to like learn to like soften more in this life, and have Ceres on your sun is just like the ultimate like nurture, right? Like yeah. But okay, a little bit about Uranus rising because that's really important too. Like I talked about the rebellion, the independence. Sometimes with that there can be a sort of anxiety because there's just so much electric energy. Um, it's like a unreal intuition also. Creativity, crazy. But there's a need to ground, So it's the trendsetter, as I said before. And life is never dull, never dull. It's almost like learning to be able to relax is key. If you're able to chill, that's very nice, right? And that's also part of this North Node in Cancer journey, right? North Node's like your destiny point. It's like the metaphoric mountain that you're trying to climb this lifetime. So in Cancer, in ninth house, it is really about being able to, for example, ninth house is about higher learning, traveling, different cultures, different philosophies, really, really like anything can be true type energy. Not attaching and really trying to carve out like a worldview for yourself, like that's really based on your highest, um, you know, the highest version of you. And yeah, so with that placement, there can sometimes be like, it's very, very open-minded too. Usually like the sense of humor also, Uranus rising people are usually quite, and especially in Scorpio, maybe like a dark sense of humor potentially, probably a pretty good sense of humor. um but yeah, like that theme of like rejection, alienation can come up depending on like the early environment. But then again, like you do have an 11th house sun, so you're gonna, like, public life is still very important. Friends are very important. And yeah, it's just really about finding your niche, right? When you find your niche, it's like, okay, this is what I'm meant to do, but there's lots of trial and error that goes into it, right? And it's very unique, like I said. Um, and Uranus rising people, they just want to pour all their creative juice and energy into one thing. They want to find that thing, but sometimes they have to really go through a lot of trial and error before they find it. Mm. Um, and then also you have your moon trine your Neptune. So that means that you are a channel, or you have the potential to be a channel. That's a very interesting aspect. Very interesting aspect. It makes one very, very caring, sensitive, all that. Usually a very good friend because, like, and just a good healer because you're so good at understanding. And a lot of it comes also from, any pain you would have gone through, but very good at understanding other people's pain. And it gives, yeah, intuitive psychic abilities. And with your rising, like, I would not be surprised in the least bit if you did some type of healing, whether it's Reiki, because, like, Virgo, it's very physical, or, something like that, like that, I guess has like more tangible results, like even working with crystal, who knows, um Virgos, it's mutable, so they really can do whatever they want, those spiritual Virgos. um but yeah, like just this one definitely is all about sensitivity, but it's really important, with this, Neptune being involved with sun and moon and Mercury, to avoid these deceptive people, these like energy vampires, also toxins, right? Chemicals in general. Not like never ever, you know, use chemicals of any, or like, toxins of any sort. It's just like it's not like, with Neptune, it's not the best, at least to overdo it. Because Neptune is about escape, right? And sometimes people will take like a negative escape. So it's good to, yeah. Um, but yeah, this is another really good aspect for spiritual protection. But like still, even if you're very protected, right? You have Jupiter in the 12th house. That's the ultimate spiritual protection. And if it's not there, then you have Venus in the 12th, right? So it's like either way, full slam placis, like you've got that spiritual protection. you still have to like do what you gotta do to keep your energy secure. And it really does matter where you live, who you live with, the environment, stuff like that. I don't know if you've ever done astrophotography, but it's a different reading I do where we look at the map of the world and we're able to tell you, I'm able to kind of tell you like the best places and worst places. Um, yeah, like it's a great healer one, able to like really heal like an emotional, energetic level. And that's like also like anything like artistic, music, you know, any any kind of any kind of any kind of art. It's just like the strong intuition and strong imagination and very inspired. Yeah, it's a beautiful one to have Moon trine Neptune. Just that imagination. And I think it softens your Aries moon. Definitely. Um, so yeah, I see Sun square Neptune a lot with my clients. I guess I would say like sometimes it can feel like a battlefield to feel confident, to feel like your identity, like secure in your identity. And with all that stuff I told you about your rising, obviously you're not meant to be like everyone else, right? So, you but there can be some victim stuff there. Um, like a lot of Sun Neptune people like square Neptune, like they can like really, they care a lot, but they can fall victim in different ways in their life. They have to watch out for being gullible, and just like it really does take like it can also kind of create like yeah, that escapism tendencies, paranoia, confusion around like what they're doing. So people who have that, like it's very much like a karmic thing of like you know take us find a spiritual road that's true to you. um yeah, because yeah, it's interesting how it works out with that rising energy, because it's almost like your rising energy is like the protective shield, because a lot of sun square Neptune people, like they can get a little bit pushed around when they're younger, and yeah, like the sun wants to shine, right? Neptune can create a fog around that. And at its when it's integrated though, Neptune is divine feminine at its highest octave of Venus, right? So it's like by finding creative outlets, um, one can an authentic self expression, even through filming yourself or talking in the mirror, affirmations, those are ruled by Neptune, like cameras and mirrors. One can understand themselves better, and by having like a metaphysical practice, and or doing work that's guided towards um pushing yourself forward, that's the best. So some people with this, like they feel at some point in their life like they're almost like forced to fight, like they're like backed into a corner, like picked on kind of. And a lot of times too, like they're meant to kind of strengthen themselves, right? Like they can, like there can be, yeah, like the like controversies like that come up, like being like like told you did something you didn't do. um so it's like the kind of, it's all about standing up for yourself. um but there can be all kinds of stuff like being betrayed, victimized, So it puts someone in a position, once they start getting good at standing up for themselves, then they're able to teach others who, to stand up for themselves, right? It's a common healer aspect. And it's, I link it a lot to a lot of people with that. Like I feel like they find like causes they really believe in that they want to put their energy into. What else about this? Let me run through my brain. So yeah, it all comes down to like like your moral, like what are your morals, your values, like making all of your decisions based off of like, what you know to be right, like, defining yourself based off of that, but also knowing that you as yourself is undefinable. You're always changing, you know? And we're all like that to an extent. It's just that people with these types of charts, like they're more aware. Your awareness is higher. Maybe it's almost annoying um to be somehow misunderstood, right? But yeah, it's excellent for music also and like anything artistic. All this Neptune is. And some people with this even like are into politics, like when it comes to like, like really, really making the changes. But yeah, and then when it comes to spirituality, like it's just a natural, right? But like it's really important to not, you know, to not fall victim to the more dark, like fake gurus and stuff like that. I'm not saying that's anything you would do. Um, that's just Neptune in general. Sometimes, yeah, sometimes it can trick itself, I guess. Um, yeah, and sometimes because Neptune is so, yeah, it can just be too trusting to people who don't deserve it. So yeah, like the moon in Aries, like I said, like opposite Pluto, like there's that real, there can be like real back and forth, like very intense, but also complex kind of emotions and moods. Um, it can even scare other people. Sometimes like the moon opposite Pluto can be like similar to bipolar, like just like not like diagnosing it. I'm saying that like just the extremes in behavior, in a mood. And yeah, it's just like strong emotions. But like it's also just important to not let, people tell you how to be, how to feel. Um, and because it's an opposition, you know, these types of, I guess, like dark people, like these are just like a, reflection of whatever isn't dealt with, but they can kind of come out of the woodwork with the Pluto stuff. So it's like, people who kind of are there to kind of make you work on yourself, like shadowy people. Because like, it's like the empaths, that these like very like bad people, like emotionally vulnerable people, right? Who've been hurt, and people who have, moon opposite Pluto, like I said, you know, the whole, question is the world a safe place? Root chakra, oftentimes it takes a lot of work and adjusting to get to a point to where the answer to that is yes. And, until then, um, yeah, it can be quite difficult. So like with that moon Pluto, like, you know, it's like there can be these periods of like extreme sadness, that can, be really, really tough. And then there can also be periods, where it's like very, very high energy. So, going back, like that can resemble like kind of manic periods, like, um, and with an Aries moon, because that can be so impulsive, it's just really like grounding. The fact that you're Virgo is like a game changer here, because it's a very grounding energy, right? The key here is like how the mother was. If it was like, like a mother that interfered a lot, that was possessive, then it's going to be more difficult. Especially if it's like if the mother was like very toxic, then you know there's just that potential for really like you know clinging on. I don't know. It's just like it's not easy, and there's just like the importance of creating that boundary if it's needed, right? But a lot of times, like I said, I see this. It's like running in families for generations. But the beauty of it is that more than most, you're able to like dramatically improve your life and go through the death rebirth transformation. That's the Plutonian. That's the whole point of this, right? Um, you're able to go deep and deep and deep and deep, and you know, really Phoenix rising from the ashes type energy, right? So, I was talking about love, and interesting, you know, this thing, right, with this split I was talking about, because the moon in Aries is opposite your Venus and your Pluto. So, um, a lot of times there's like there's a deep need for affection. But sometimes there's difficulty showing it, I guess you could say. Like affection and all that stuff. Hold on. So yeah, I think like with that one, it's definitely kind of this, yeah, like I was saying earlier, this opposing energy between what you want and what you need. Um, and just in relationships, just the idea of that balance, of um that balance between independence, me doing me, but then also we have to remember that your North Node is in Cancer, and it's with your vertex in Cancer. So, I don't know if you have kids, but if you do, I wouldn't be surprised if they're a massive part of your karmic journey and massive teachers to you. If you don't, that's not a problem. Although, I mean, yeah, your part of fortune's there too, and the ninth. Yeah, so it's like the whole idea of like the ninth house Cancer. That's a very important part of your chart. A very benefic part of your chart, like very positive. Um, so yeah, it's just when you think of that, ninth house Cancer, we think, okay, well, where is the ruler? Where's the moon? The moon is in the sixth in Aries, right? So like the idea of each day, like your physical health, your like there's like a spiritual value to your physical, like it's very psychosomatic, it's like you will be doing your best when you're, like, for example, in your day to day doing something that you really care about, that you really feel is like, this is what I'm meant to do, right? And Aries moons, they don't like to be tied down. And even your Mars and your Mars and Leo too, like that's a real like passionate inner child energy that needs to come out. Um, and even though I think you have this real discipline too, perhaps, right? No, I would say yeah, like, um, because like Saturn sextile Mars is interesting, and Venus is also square Mars. That's interesting. So yeah, there's this whole theme that's popping out, right? Um, because like so yeah, like the Mars, yeah, interesting. Well, I'll get to that in a sec, but I want to finish what I was saying before. So, like with the ninth house, Cancer. So it's like, um, North Node, Vertex together. You know that that's really, really important part of fortune. There's gifts, in this part of life. So I think, like, I don't know if you're someone who's able to travel, um, who has traveled, but different cultures can be, amazing. And the more you expose yourself to different ways of thinking, the more that you challenge your intellect, the better, right? That's so important with a chart like this, is to never be satisfied and to always, like for example, this is kind of a lame example, but like it's just when it comes to me, like in America, people are very set on their ways politically, right? And I always challenge people to, you know, like, isn't it curious, like, why, I guess, half or whatever the country thinks one way and the other thinks another? And, some people will say things where I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like, there's no way that one half is stupid and one half is not, you know? Like, it does, like, so, like, it's just like something as small as that, right? It's just like, why? And like for example, like how does someone from Kenya live? Like that's a very ninth house thing to randomly think. Like how do they see what's the lens that they see through which they see reality, right? What do they value? Um, and the more like I guess you could call them random as fuck questions you ask yourself, um, the better. And the more things advance. Um, so yeah, it's just one of those things. Hold on a second, sorry. Okay, we're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. Yeah. So yeah, that's super important stuff. And I think you'd find like, I talk about this quite a bit, right? That I think a lot of people are way too closed off. Um, Even people who like proclaim themselves as being open-minded often are not, because a lot of people get, and I'm sure you've noticed the same thing, a lot of people get trapped in their own intellectual egos, right? um like for example, people who are very scientific, right? They don't want to like give astrology a chance. Well, how much are you missing out on? Like, how can I know nothing about, like, I don't like, and just know this, like, I don't know anything about you. Like, I purposely, when I do my readings, I don't even associate, I don't look at anyone's Instagram. Like, I don't look at anything, right? Because I want to like literally only be talking. Like, I only want to realize who I do the reading for. I mean, sometimes it's impossible, right? But like for the most part, I only want to know, like, remember who I do the reading for, like after I've done it, because that's pure. just authenticity. That's me not being that's me not having been influenced in any way, shape, or form, right? Like maybe if I see a photo of someone, or if I like remember conversations I've had with them, then maybe that will influence how the reading goes. But yeah, like back to what I was saying, like the whole point of everything is just like waking up, like no matter how much you know, no matter how much you learn, it's just waking up with that mindset of I know nothing. I know nothing. I'm open to the universe showing me whatever it is I need to know. And that's the thing about Virgo, right? Virgo sometimes can get a little bit overly analytical. Um, while Aries is like, so it's like you have your raw instinct, right? You have your raw Aries fire instinct, like go, let's do this, this energy, right? That's impulsive and it acts, but like a lot of the time you have to because like this is what's so cool about this combination, why I think it makes you such an interesting person. I'm excited to talk to you live because, like I said, usually I can think of someone that has, one of the that has a certain sun moon combination, right? But I really don't think I've ever come across someone with Virgo Aries. But like it's that ability to be very, very what's the word? Yeah, like to just do um based on instinct, but then to really, really take inventory after. Um and I think a big lesson with that is, yeah, it's really, really learning what is truly important, what is, and with all the Neptunian stuff, that adds, I guess what I'm trying to say is like it's like this real, like, kind of difference of imagination versus intuition, learning the difference, right? But yeah, so it's just fascinating to me when I see this, because I'm like, all right, so she's got even, yeah, so like the Cancer part, it's really like asking you to um lean into your instinct, lean into your feminine, just knowing, right? Like the part of you that just knows something about someone, or that kind of stuff. Like you don't, because like sometimes Virgo can be too logical, right? Um, and yeah, like the Aries is very much about just doing. Like Aries, like I'll do it now, I'll think about it later. Virgo's like, I'm gonna think about it a bunch. But when Virgo can kind of learn from its opposite sign, Pisces, right? Because we all want to look at and I'll tell you about how Aries can learn from its opposite side, Libra. That's the part of, that's where it becomes more um go with the flowy. But of course, too much Pisces is too much go with the flow, and needs to like learn the structure, and things take time, patience, and like being realistic. But like being realistic is not always a good thing. Like I think that there's a certain, like, yes, it is, like it gets you out of trouble like in some instances, but I think that there's a certain level of um you know idealism and just believing anything is possible. It's very, very, very powerful, important. Okay. So yeah, like I don't know. I can imagine you being someone who has like karmic places you're meant to go in the world, and who through the travels, it's like there's like deep meaning around like keeping your home, like internal home throughout the changes. And if you look at it in another way, like through like the lens of Placidus, you see, okay, well then it's eighth house north node, right? Like that's different. Well, that's just speaking to this whole spiritual journey, this whole deep kind of dive within the unconscious, and this transformation that's already being spoken about when we talk about moon opposite Pluto, right? Um, but yeah, I just wanted to kind of add that in there. Um, so there's a lot that's popping out. So yeah, Mars and Leo, very, very strong energy. Mars is your action. So, Mars and Leo is an energy that is very, very passionate. It's very in with its inner child. It likes to play. So when you have Venus and Scorpio square Mars and Leo, um, it kind of creates a conflict there too. So it continues this idea in about love. Um, and it creates a bunch of passion, but sometimes a little bit of like a domineering energy when it comes to relationships and love. And with the Pluto, it can create someone who potentially like, you know, be, can become like very infatuated very fast, right? And then there's the whole 12th house element, right? So there's that karmic element, but also, it's very important. The whole self-love, is extremely important. That's what Venus ultimately is. So, what could happen if the self-love weren't there, it could be, throwing oneself into relationships before, like very quickly. Mika, Mika, what the Mika, breaking everything. Right when I'm in my zone. Okay. Bad cat, Mika. So yeah, Mars and Leo, squares. I was talking about Mars square Venus. Yeah, it's just like it just speaks, yeah, once again to this energy of um, that deep, deep passion and this kind of playful, independent energy. Um, but yeah, it can be a little bit forceful in love sometimes. And like I don't know. It's interesting how it works in relationships. Because it's very sexual for sure. But like sometimes what I've noticed with some people with this, I've noticed that their sexuality can get them into trouble. Not like cheating necessarily, but just like I've just something I've noticed. Like difficulty, like kind of like curbing those desires. So yeah, it's like sometimes there can be like lots of drama in the love life, but at the end of the day, your Juno's in Scorpio, so your ideal mate, like there's that depth, there's that transformative relationship because it like the ideal partner for you is able to go through all of this kind of like Plutonian stuff with you but also have a fun light side, right? That's the goal. But yeah, sometimes people with this like, and it's almost better honestly because it's like they can kind of like that's how I am too. I have Mars conjunct Venus, but like you know, I was always when I'm when I was single, I was always just like really really quick into like relationships, and I would things would move fast, but like I think it's like better to know, because like you can know, like some people they think oh you should wait forever, till marriage to have sex. Nothing against that, teach their own. But you better know that sex is good. Not that sex is everything, but just as an example, because I've had girlfriends where everything was perfect, and then we just didn't have, not to be TMI, but like, like we just didn't have that sexual, the sexual part just wasn't it, you know? Um, and like I think about those times, like, man, I imagine if I would have, if we, not me, if we would have waited, you know, a long time, which, a lot of girls, I'm not gonna go on a rant here, but like, a lot of the girls out here in Romania, like, they're not gonna, any of the good ones are not gonna sleep with you. Like, you're gonna have to wait. But um yeah, I don't know. Like, I just think, like, about certain situations where you know, moved quicker, and we knew, it was, we both parties happy because shit, like, it wasn't gonna work out. And I wonder, like, with Mars square Venus, it could be, some people with that, like, early on, like they can have like a phase where they're promiscuous, but it's not always the case. And Virgos are usually, it's a very careful sign. So yeah. Um, what else? I think also what can happen um here is there can be like lots of like love hate feelings in relationships. Um, and anger and drama and stuff, that can be, like, yeah, very like up and down. It can, like, in relationships. So it's all about like learning self-control, especially over the Aries moon, and like learning if, like, like to not take things out on other people, like if that's something that's happening. But yeah, it's also very linked to like the parental relationship. So like there's a conflict like between them. Um, it can really like, um I guess that's true for everyone, but like, yeah, like it's just like, it can, if there's like a lot of love hate in the parental relationship, then, because like this Venus Mars square can create like lots of love hate relationships, like not actual hate, but back and forth, so it can make that even more difficult. um so yeah, like it's really like required to have someone who's strong, um but also very understanding. um and like also Venus square Mars is great for creativity. It's like a lot of energy for creating. um so yeah. mm. So yeah, Venus has some is so that means it's yeah, but it's not square here. Mm. Anyways, yeah, so and then you have Chiron in Taurus on the descendant. So like that is just speaking about how, relationships can bring up, some issues, right? Relationships can bring up some, can be a place of pain, right? Put my face on. Here's Esme. Esme, look at the chart, do your thing. Okay, she looked at Black Moon Lilith. I already talked about that, Esme. I already talked about that. So, yeah. So Black Moon Lilith and Scorpio. I guess we can touch on that more because I have that too, and I know how that is. It's like, don't fuck with me. It's like, a Black Moon Lilith and Scorpio person, it's rising, so obviously it's gonna be more, it's gonna be, like I already talked a lot about it, but just independent of that, it's someone who, um can be very destructive. Like they know exactly what to say to destroy someone. And sometimes it's like kind of attracting and being attracted to drama and stuff like that. And it really is about like accepting your own need for emotional intensity, right? And finding a good channel for that. Right, Esme? Esme Cam. Yeah. So, okay. What else? Oh, you have Chiron trine Sun. That's really cool. So that's a classic healer. Just empathy, understanding, able to, you might be, really natural ability for, being able to listen and really heal people in whatever way it is for you, right? Healing talents. So it could be part of your identity. And it's on descendants. So like, yeah, as I was saying, like, Chiron descendant people, there's usually, like painful relationships, like, um, a lot of their pain gets felt in relationships, feeling rejection, feeling rejected. Um, but then relationships are really a ground for learning, right? For learning how to overcome the pain. So it can be someone who has a partner or partners who like they learn a lot through relationships, or they become someone who teaches like a partner, right? Relationships are like they're like early on there's pain, but then they become very very healing. Now also Chiron seventh house rules clients, like, so you could be someone who works as a healer with clients. I have to pet Esme. I can't move my hands without her looking at it. So yeah, and then Chiron Taurus, that's just basically like, pain around self-worth. Um, and a lot of times there can be like distrust of the body and yeah. So yeah, it's really about learning to trust the beauty, um, like really, really getting comfortable with image and with identity and with the set of morals that you choose. And the fact that your descendant seventh house is Taurus is like very much yeah, like how a partner that grounds you during stressful times is very, very important. But yeah, I think with the Aries moon, I would never say you need a partner that has a certain sign or anything like that. Um, it really doesn't, like, I mean, it matters obviously. Like, of course, you want someone who has the same, moon element as you. But they don't have to be. They can be, sextile, trine. They can be anything really. Opposite even. It's really, there's a lot that goes into compatibility of astrology. Okay, so let's see. So yeah, with the series in the sun, once again, yeah, there could be also with this one like a sense of like loss around childhood, something in childhood related to loss. Um, yeah, really, really good at helping other people. Like, yeah, just nurturing, as I said. I think like nature is very, very healing for Virgos, and also Virgos can sometimes like really feel a lot of their like emotions somatically. So there can be like a real psychosomatic effect. Um, and just like through like nature, you can like really rejuvenate yourself. Anything beautiful. I'm trying to see if my computer is still making this noise. Kind of stopped. It's making a horrible noise, but then kind of. I don't know. It's on and off. But yeah, so that's important. Oh, I didn't see a Pluto with um Mercury. So your Mercury is over there in Libra. Um, and your Mercury's in Libra in the 12th house. So of course it would be 11th in Placidus, but I like just from that perspective, it's like someone who is able to like communicate with the other side in a very eloquent way. A lot of people I see with this, like they're like almost like meant to be able like to be like writers or creators, someone who can like take the unexplainable and put it into words, you know? But 12th house Mercury also sometimes they like have trouble knowing their thoughts and feelings. Like they can like pick up on like other people's energy so much, especially thoughts, right? So it's sometimes like in large groups it's difficult for them to know what's theirs, what someone else's. But yeah, like very good with potential psychic abilities and just like knowing like kind of what the zeitgeist is, like what everyone's thinking, like like the where people are at, I guess you could say. And Mercury and Libra is someone who can, yeah, really put people at ease with their communication, who can communicate with beauty. Um, yeah, just really usually a very smooth voice. And yeah, like they don't want like so it is a more peaceful placement, right? Very strong imagination with that. Now the fact that it's with Pluto, that is very interesting. That makes you like Pluto. So that's you're very intelligent. Pluto Mercury people, they probe deep, like they go deep into things, right? So it's like they might like get interested in something and just go boom, like 1,000, like with me in astrology, right? Like I was reading like a million books at once. Like I just taught myself everything, and that's like a very Pluto Mercury thing, it's very deep. So like there's like the Mercury Libra by itself can be a little bit more chitty chatty, which you're probably still able to do that. But when you add Pluto there, it's like, you know, that energy doesn't want to like just do like the superficial shit. It wants to go deep, meaningful, like profound stuff, topics of substance, right? And very, very good for research. So very good for like learning, for researching anything that you have a true interest in. And then you have Jupiter also. So you have Jupiter also conjunct Mercury. So these are two very good signs of intelligence. But the thing about your Mercury is in the 12th house, it's hidden. So you could be like a hidden genius or highly intelligent person, right? People might not know about like because the subjects you might be interested in might not be the subjects that other people are interested in, but you might be very, very intelligent, right? 12th and 8th hides a lot. Some people who have like a lot of like those houses, they they can have like incredible talents, but it can be more hidden, right? Behind the scenes type stuff. But yeah, Jupiter, Mercury people, like, it's that thirst for knowledge, that thirst for wisdom. Usually quite talkative too. That's what's interesting. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was just thinking about, yeah, it's just fascinating. Look at something real quick. Yeah, definitely like a thirst for spiritual esoteric knowledge. Expansive mind, optimistic mind, even in like the darker, because like, 1 second. like even during like the darker times, I think that you're able to like dig deep and find this kind of like inner well of optimism. Um, and it's like this need for sort of like your own space, right? To like seek out the meaning of life, the big questions, like on your own, like journaling. Really, journaling would be something I would see you being very, very, very into. But like with yeah, I think like with Jupiter and Libra, Teddy, there's just this real like fairness and this person that it's like the person, yeah, the person that people come to, right, who is kind of like the middle, the what's it called, like it's like judge energy, like like the person that gives balance. So Saturn there, so Saturn, like, so of course, like these would definitely be 11th. So like 11th, you know, um, this just all goes to, like humanitarianism and friends. Um, it's like someone who makes friends, like who'd rather like Jupiter in 11th is like someone who's just very popular, very, very good at making friends. And you have Saturn there, and it's kind of like someone who's like, okay, yeah, maybe that's true in some ways, but it's kind of the opposite. It's like someone who's like a lot slower. Like it's two opposites, right? Um, so like someone who'd rather have like a few, maybe has like a lot of like surface friends, but like only a few like real, real friends, right? But Saturn, in the 12th, if we look in whole sign, um, it goes down. It can create like lots of like phobias. Like it can create hidden enemies. Um, it can create like a fear of anything that's like hidden. And a lot of times people with that, they will sort of not like it take a lot of times it takes them till after their Saturn return to really dive into the esoteric. You know what I mean? Um, like I've heard people with that being scared of the dark, and sometimes they just like, and with like when you combine that with Virgo, sometimes there can be like taking life too seriously, but then you have Mars and Leo, which is such a beautiful placement for just I'm having fun, I'm doing me. Um, but yeah, it definitely does create like someone who might doubt themselves. It's like the sound isn't as loud. Right? Yeah, so there can be like self-doubt, also like not knowing, like feeling a sense of guilt, but not knowing where it's from, taking on guilt that's not yours. Um, so yeah, like it also a lot of times will speak to early life setbacks, as I've made reference to many times. Um, and yeah, it's just about dealing with you know with kind of what's in the unconscious, really just dealing with it. Because there can be like a feeling of like being very overwhelmed by one's own emotions, and sometimes the fear is more powerful than the fear itself. And it can create people who like suffer in silence and who just want to be in solitude, and like they don't want to burden people, like it's like they don't want to like kind of give that impression, like when they really need, like it can be difficult for Saturn 12th to ask for help, for example, right? And yeah, like it comes down to control also, right? Because like um they can be like people who like always feel like they always want to be in control, So it's like this letting go process that's so important. Um, because like there can be that guilt I was talking about, that can really push them away in their social life, their love life, all that stuff. Um, so yeah, it's just about self-acceptance. Um, and really, really, really investigating like where whatever that is comes from, and just um like with this placement, I always tell people like opening up and being vulnerable is the number one thing. Um, you know, journaling, self-reflecting, all that stuff, right? So, yeah. But I think also like, 12th house is really related to service. And someone with like Saturn here can be someone who can have like a very serious attitude towards their responsibility to humanity and to service. So that can be really, really good, right? Um, yeah, it can be very, very devoted, self-sacrificing and all that. What else? Yeah, it's such an interesting placement. It's like they can be so like I know a lot of people with this, like clients and friends, and like they can be like such loners, but then they have this deep need, soul need to help and to be part, to really feel a part of the collective. Um, and but like they definitely are people who like recharge by being alone. Yeah. Um, so yeah, anything mystical, esoteric, all that, that's what really, really helps them. What else about that one? Yeah, so it kind of really, really pushes them towards spirituality, you know. And I think it's like that one foot in the spiritual, one foot in the material world, you know, and finding that kind of like middle ground between the two, right? Not being too far and like you know, the lonely mystic, but not being too far and the person that pushes away spirituality. Because like with the moon, how it is, the Pluto, like emotions can be so intense that like it can feel like the emotions can like overwhelm them. Um, but yeah, it's also great for the arts, Saturn 12th for sure. Yeah. Um, yeah, very, very developed kind of right brain, super artistic for sure. But yeah, it also comes down to like really, making sure they're trusting the right people, and surrendering and forgiving themselves. So yeah. I don't know. I really, really went in depth with that one, but I feel like it's important. So yeah, like, and then like the 11th house sun, like um, it just creates, and it'd be 10,000 classes, but like, just you're here for a very big reason. Um, and I think like the new world that's coming, I've been talking about the 2025, 2026, um, you know, uh, just like the whole every outer planet shifting and aspecting each other. It's gonna be crazy. I think that we're really going to be called into action. Um, and I think that things will make more sense. But I see a lot of people like with the 11th house, Virgos too. I just like see them as like people living like in the forest. They're like living in like alternative like communities of the future, setting up like a new world in some way in a very tangible way, but also very magical. Mm. And yeah, I just also see like a very big grind for career and someone who's very wise about like the decisions they make for their career slash dharma, who knows how to make the right decisions. Neptune the second's interesting, because that also can paint a picture of someone who can be like, you know, they're like unrealistic in their assessment of themselves and their self-worth. Um, and also it's about money, so sometimes there's like um Neptune second house sometimes can be a little bit like I don't know, like I think that they definitely like to spend money on spiritual stuff, um, things that they feel are helping them, like get closer to God or whatever you want to call it. But hey, it's me. Oh yeah, a lot of times they're kind of hippie vibes, like where they don't really care that much about material gain. And sometimes it can be a little bit careless around that. But you're a Virgo, so delete, delete, delete. But yeah, that's just what Neptune second does, right? But of course, it'd be like late first house in Placidus, but you know, mm, what was it aspecting again? The moon, right? Yeah. But yeah, also because it's aspecting your moon like that, like you could make money as an artist for sure. But like a lot of people with that, like let's say you're an amazing painter and you paint something fucking takes you forever. It's so perfect. They will undervalue their work, charging way less than they should. That's so important to know. If you are an artist, never forget what I just said. Um, but yeah, I think Neptune second house people like to spend like money on things like on art, on things that are like artistic, like Esme, perfect piece of art. You boo 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 boo. Um, yeah, because it forms that trine with the sun, right? So, yeah, sometimes it can create, yeah, it's interesting. It can create kind of like people who just like, but like in the first, it's like energy where it's like, um, someone who wants to take their dream life, their imagine, because I mentioned you have this amazing imagination, and they want to turn that into their reality. That's pretty brilliant. Okay, let's see. Yeah, then best on the 12th, super committed to and with your Mercury. So you're very hardworking, very intelligent, very committed to spiritual values, to learning the unknown, all that stuff. Um, and you're someone who I think can work well with other people, and your son's the 11th, so like maybe there is some real meaning to like soul fam, and I don't like using that term, but I don't know a better one. Like, like really like working well with other people. While that Libra energy is really good for that, right? But also, having Mars and Leo in the 10th, that would make someone quite competitive. Maybe they like to do sport. Yeah, Aries, Mars, Moon people love to do sports. So like, it could be really important for you to have some kind of physical activity, especially sixth house Moon. Also, animals can be really, really healing for you and give you lots of emotional balance. Um, yeah. So yeah, you probably have like a vibe that is so unique because you have so much in the first, and um, I almost want to like look at a photo of you if you're not on private, not in a weird way. Just I don't know. I guess I'll find out. I think you got the follow up. I didn't really look. I literally just clicked on this chart, but yeah. Okay, let's talk about stars. Where's my new star book? What the fuck? Oh, my new star book. My new star book. My new star book. Wait 1 second. I forgot a star I wanted to add. Oh, la la la. Oh, la 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 la. Okay, which stars do I want to? Oh, I know which one. Let's delete Industria. And let's add Sirius. Is Bellatrix not in there? Yeah, it is. Okay, that's fine. We'll put this. Okay. Okay. What's this? 14.3. You have an asteroid that I don't study, but Haley does, called Fama. I don't know what it does, but it's related to fame. It's on your midheaven. Maybe there's fame. Who knows? What is this one? 14. Do you have something there? That'd be crazy if you did. Like just randomly start thinking about it. I need to add this one too. Okay. And okay. Okay, what's going on here? Cupido on Venus. So that creates a flirt. Very seductive energy, especially in Scorpio. Good socially. Like a temptress type energy. Okay, hurt all of my eyes. Could be really good at anything showman, athletic, anything like that. Um, I mentioned like the potential for like that really deep searching, like esoteric type stuff. Urania with Neptune, so that is about astrology. Astrology could be a spiritual pursuit for you that you take seriously. Who knows? You could really get it very, very well. Not so many stars. There's some rough ones around the descendant, so that could like be speaking about difficulty with just like attracting kind of like with the it's similar with the Chiron there, like um just difficult people, difficult partners at a certain point in your life. Bungula, never heard of this one, is on your ascendant. Nearest of all fixed stars to the Earth. Its light only takes 4 years to reach us. Bungala has a Jupiter Venus nature. Oh my God. I'm like allergic to Esmond's hair only. Just showered before. Oh, my eyes get so puffy. My whole face gets so like. Okay, let's do this then. Okay, so it's linked to honor and power. It's Jupiter Venus. It's like the two, the best kind of star for the arts. Okay. And they're talking about different conductors that had this and scientists. So that's not really giving me that much info, is it? Is it now? There's so many of these stars. This call it Taliman? Oh, so it has a different name. Okay, so let's see. Ascendant. It's okay. If I'm right about this, or this is me like researching, but it indicates a breeder or trainer of horses. That'd be so crazy if you were just like, yep. Okay. So a favorably aspected by Mars. It isn't aspected by Mars. But today, a jockey, polo player, or other profession requiring horsemanship. Is that a word? Horsemanship? Maybe more logical. Wow. Venus is not aspecting it. So yeah, so the splendid and lustrous life, glorious, mighty, commanding, blah, 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 resources, pure, agreeable, music lover, many friends, sensible, good for counsel, or they are people of good counsel, good feelings, stately souls, composed in the pleasures of love, and are greatly favored by women. Their hair tends to be blonde, and they have a beautiful appearance and a delicate body, especially if also conjunct the moon. Hmm, interesting. All right, and let's see 7. Mm-hmm. Another one that I didn't ever talk about. Alioth. Mm, uh-oh. Okay, I talked about suicide. It's on the midheaven, but yeah, suicidal thoughts will be eminent in female cosmograms. Join with the mid. Oh no! It's not. That said, if it's with the sun, it's with the midheaven. So yeah, it could bad fortunes within the family circle or within his profession. But yeah, this one doesn't seem very strong. It's very far from very far. Hmm. Wait, yeah. Um, and then oh, it's not even on the internet. Okay. And then here, Mirak. Oh yeah, Andromeda. So Mirak is on your moon, right? No, it's at 024. Lied to me. But that's still close to within what? What's the orb? 2? Yeah, it's within the orb. Gives personal beauty, a beautiful mind, brilliant mind, a love of home, great devotion, benevolence, forgiveness, love, overcoming by kindness, good fortune in marriage. Adventurous. So it's a good one. Yeah, Andromeda. It's very like trouble with opposite sex owing to indiscretions, bad for domestic affairs, honor through martial matters. Good for sports. Really good for the public. Anything athletic. Unexpected setback or unexpected disappointments early in life due to setbacks early in life. A tendency to be imprudent in some matters, possibly domestic problems. So yeah, that's one. But I'm adding little cherries on top, and then we can, yeah. I'm going very, very in depth. They didn't really go too far in the fact that series with the son. But literally they're same degree. This is I wanted to end on this note for a reason. Um, it's someone who has a lot of purpose to their nurturing. They've incarnated with the intention, this goes with your North Node in Cancer, of learning how to nurture. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's the healer, and it's just like a signature of the soul, like receiving nurturing, giving nurturing. Um, and a lot of times it's like you're in like a circumstance or circumstances that kind of force you to take care of another person, whether it's like a child, or like in a situation where you need to accept um, help, nurturance from others, right? Um, so it's like this lifelong process of like shedding um, old beliefs, right? Um, and yeah, just boundaries are always really important when you are someone who's a healer and nurturer. Um, and yeah, like it's really about the give and take, not always giving, giving, giving. It's about also being able to accept, right? Because you have this really amazing ability to, like I've said this before, to sense what other people need to feel safe, um, and to feel secure, right? So, like probably in your own family, or family of friends, or actual family, you're kind of like the pillar, right? People can lean on you. Um, and then you just have this natural ability to support people. And I don't say it's never reading. I mean, I haven't been putting my readings up for the past few. I stopped sharing them publicly. I don't know why. I just something about me. It was just like maybe stop doing it for a little bit, keep it private. But yeah. So yeah, like another thing with that is like to make sure you have identity outside of the mother, the healer, the teacher, whatever it is. Um, and yeah, like a lot of serious some people might be loving taking care of kids, whether they're like teachers, um, you know, or just like anything that where they're able to like use their nurturing skills. And also being Mars and Leo makes you someone who's really able to love kids and have fun with kids. Um, it's also great for anything that makes people feel comfortable. So like cooking, um, anything related to the home, right? So all right. Well, I have no idea how long I just went for. Oh shit. I don't even, definitely over 2 hours. I've been trying to stop that, but that's just how it is. Anyways, let me see. Let me go through it one more time. Yeah, that's it. You got really lucky. Even though my wait list isn't so long these days, I still definitely did yours before, but I'm probably gonna do another one right now. And you know what? I don't even care. I do them in the order I want to, and Esme helps me. All right. Thank you. Ciao.